How is everyone doing today? And in this video, we are going to be looking at the tier list for Zenless Zone 0 in this video. And that's what we do every patch. We're going to be looking at Yanagi. We're going to be seeing where the characters have shifted around. I'm going to give my own opinions. I'm also going to be talking about the meta as well, because with Yanagi's release, we've also had Jane. We've also had Bernice as well. So there's been quite a bit of characters coming out that have been Anomaly stacked or Anomaly focused. And we haven't seen a lot of main DPS characters coming out, but we should expect one coming very soon, which is going to be Harun Masa when he comes out being attacked. Let's go ahead and start looking at what this tier list is going to be. And there are a couple of changes. We see a lot of down arrows, and of course Yanagi at tier 0. Right now we can make this a really easy topic right now, talking about Yanagi. Anomaly right now is a little bit just overtuned. I've been saying this since the start of the game, that Anomaly was going to take over, that Anomaly was by far one of the most broken mechanics in the game. And funny enough, all the best DPSs in the game right now, all the best teams at the current moment are focusing around Anomaly, which I find funny that I called this a very long time ago. But Yanagi being in tier 0 100% makes sense. She's able to proc instant disorders back to back, which I think is by far the most absurd thing known to man. And not only that, we also have Jane, who is able to make physical Anomaly crit. We have Bernice, who's able to make fire off-field damage happen with fire Anomaly happen off-field as well. There's been a lot of really great additions to the Anomaly team at the current moment, and we still see some team building as well for some of the Anomaly teams as well. Looking into something like Piper with her team, she currently has the Sons of Kaladin team where she's able to buff up everyone's damage off of her team passive, which she has someone like Piper, Lucy, and Caesar. She also has Bernice as well if you want to make that a team. There's a lot of support right now for the Anomaly teams when you look at all the characters that have been coming out. Piper, we have Bernice, Jane, Yanagi, Caesar works really well with them as well. We have Cole, we have Seth, especially with how great he is, depending on which team you have him on. There's a lot of really great Anomaly supports at the current moment, and a lot of really good Anomaly teams that are just taking over the meta on both sides. Whether you want to use Yanagi on one side, Jane on the other, and then plot Bernice on one of them, give Piper to another team, give Caesar to another team, Seth to another team, Nicole to another team. You can basically clear this entire game out with just a disorder team or just an Anomaly team by itself. I do want to see in the future, in some way, shape, or form, a main DPS coming up to the same usability or same DPS that the Anomaly team is giving off, because yeah, they're really strong, and they're super strong, because not only do you get the primary reaction, you get the disorder, get the other reaction, another disorder, and you have all these buffs bundled on top of each other, and it makes it really hard for the enemies to even do anything when they're getting popped for constant 300Ks, 500Ks. And while the main DPSs, they're doing their combos, they're doing their rotations with their team, and they're putting out less numbers or similar damage, which is a lot more work. So right now, Anomaly just taking over the meta. Yanagi being at tier 0 makes 1000% sense. It seems like there's a lot of characters at the current moment that are currently being put in tier 0, because it's just, at the moment, all these guys are god tier. Bernice fulfills her own role in making fire off-field application, which is a very, very, very strong thing to have in the game. Jane is able to make physical Anomalies crit, which is by far busted in her regard, and Yanagi is able to spam disorders. It's not a, I say, abuse of putting them all in the same tier and saying that these guys are just all OP, because they all technically are OP, because they all fulfill different roles. So I don't know if there will be another Anomaly tier 0 character that can be put up here. I feel like eventually there will have to be someone that gets thrown down, but at the current moment, everybody's together. We have Jane, who's physical crit, Yanagi's disorder spam, Bernice's off-field damage. You can't really change it up. And if there's some type of ice character, or there's some type of, not electric character, what's another ether character that deals with Anomaly in some way, shape, or form, and they do something different, then we're just gonna have a full stack tier 0 list. So I don't know, it's just gonna be a lot of stuff happening at the current moment when it comes to the Anomaly team, but we're gonna have to wait and see how that's going to work with Anomaly going into the future. Going into the next thing we're gonna be looking at, which is of course the DPS tier, and we're moving a lot of characters down. Now, I don't agree with moving both of these guys down at the same time. Yes, I do believe that they don't compare to the Anomaly teams that we currently have at the moment, but Juyin does give explosive damage, and she is by far one of the best DPSs, in my opinion, in the pure DPS role. So I think she should get bumped back to tier 0. Ellen, I think, has a case to be back in tier 0 once Lighter comes out, depending on how good Lighter is for her team. So that's definitely something I'm going to be looking forward to with Ellen. Right now, she still has her best in slot team, which is Lycan and Sokaku, of course. But having Lighter on the team might be able to change something in regards to how much damage we're outputting with the ice resistances being dropped, with Lighter being on the field, and maybe Lighter's able to do his own damage as well. So there's a lot to look forward to when it comes to Ellen. But at the current moment, when we're looking at something like Juyin, and we're looking at something like how her DPS compares to Anomaly, of course it's not in the same vein, but in a pure DPS aspect in this tier alone, I would put Juyin by herself in tier 0. The one thing I wouldn't do though is I feel like Anomaly DPS and pure DPS can kind of be in the same role. The only problem with this is that some of these guys aren't a DPS realistically. Like Bernice would be Anomaly DPS because she is by far the definition of it, and same thing with Grace and Piper. But I don't know about Jane and Yanagi. They kind of feel like main DPSs to me personally. So let me know what you think realistically when it comes to Jane and Bernice. Not Jane and Bernice, but Jane and Yanagi being in the pure DPS tab, because I just feel like these guys are more DPSs than these guys here. I don't know. For me, it feels like that's the case. But looking at this again, Juyin, I do feel should be in tier 0. Me personally, I just genuinely think that she has some of the craziest DPS in the game, one of the better teams as well, with Nicole and Chingy in the team. These make some absolutely nasty damage buffs with her defense drop, her team boosting, and then Chingy the same thing with her stun damage multiplier. Absolutely amazing stuff. So let's bring up Juyin, keep Ellen here until Lighter comes out. I don't know what that's going to bring when Lighter comes out, and see how strong Ellen gets. But the next thing is going to be about Soldier. I do think Soldier, if we move Ellen down 1, then we keep Soldier where she is. I do think Soldier is a really great unit with Bernice coming into the game, with Caesar and Bernice coming into the game, with having the addition of the relic set being able to be procced very easily by Bernice. I do think realistically that Soldier 11 just gets a really big buff from that, and that she gets constant support with a lot of the fire teammates that she has now. So I do think she is above all these other DPSs under her. So we move Ellen down 1 and we move Juyin up 1, or keep Ellen here actually and move Juyin up and then move Soldier up. I think this is pretty fine in my honest opinion when it comes to moving these characters 1 up, keep the same Soldier up 1. She just has a lot of support right now. She isn't that weak just because right now there is a lot of fire-based enemies in Shiyu defense, just because of Bernice's addition, and Bernice being in the team as well allows for very easy burns, which allows for the relic set to proc really easy crits, making it really easy for someone like Soldier 11 to be able to do all her damage alongside her own crits as well, alongside having other characters like maybe even Lucy or maybe even Caesar on the team. I just think realistically that having Soldier 11 a little bit higher would be a little bit better for her in actuality of how her impact is on the game at the current moment. I just think she's a really great character right now. I still don't believe that Nekomata deserves to be with Anton and Billy realistically. I don't have a lot of experience with M6, Anton, and Billy, but looking at Nekomata, how she has Caesar at the current moment, how she has Jane specifically, being able to rock a Nekomata DPS / Anomaly build with the crit, I do think that's a pretty big addition versus something like Billy and versus something like Anton, when you're looking at what they're able to do and when you're looking at what Nekomata is able to do with her own signature W engine, with the back attacks, with being able to proc physical anomaly, because that's a pretty huge deal. I think that's a pretty big worthwhile point to look at when you're looking at Nekomata as a DPS. I just think the synergy she has with a lot of the newer units is a good thing for her. Is she better than Soldier 11? No, I do think Soldier 11 has a lot more raw DPS with the addition of Bernice, while Nekomata is basically trailing behind her with the physical reactions from Jane. And it sucks that Jane has her own main team, so Nekomata can't always be put to use, but it is an option for those that have Nekomata. So I do think realistically still need to put Nekomata up 1, move Soldier up 1, leave Ellen here, and then move Juyin up. Other than this, these guys can stay where they're at. They're basically not used as much in the meta right now. in comparison to a lot of their other teammates. Of course, as we've gotten more 5 stars, a lot of the other 4 stars have been moved out of their spots, so it makes sense that where they're at. I do think out of the Anomaly DPS tab, Piper still needs to be moved up one. People are really sleeping on her team passive, where she's able to give, I think, a 16% damage buff on full power stacks, and this gives more damage to Bernice. This gives more damage to Caesar, even though she doesn't do that much damage. Bernice and Piper are able to 100% take that damage boost with each other by being the Sons of Kaladin faction bonus. So having these two together with, let's say, someone like another character that does pretty good damage, you're gonna get some good damage boost off of it. So I do think Piper not only is a physical Anomaly character, so it's really good, is able to work well with Bernice, which is of course the physical and fire spam of Disorder, with her doing the fire Anomaly, Piper doing her physical Anomaly, and then you have Piper as well giving off that damage boost from her power stack, which is going to help out quite a bit. So not only are you going to get really good reactions, you're going to get really good disorders. So I do think Piper realistically does need to be brought up 1 tier, and Grace stays where she's at. I don't have a lot of experience right now with Grace with Yanagi. I don't even know if that's a team that you would run. I'm gonna have to test some stuff out when I get to play Yanagi a little bit more, but right now Grace doesn't seem like she's being used as much currently in the meta. But Piper has been getting some stable and good additions to the Sons of Kaladin team, and especially with Lighter coming very soon, this could give her another teammate potentially. I know it's the same faction, but we don't know if it's going to fit perfectly, so we're gonna have to wait and see how that's going to work. Probably not though, because we know that Sons of Kaladin is going to be a fire slash ice buffer, so maybe Piper won't get as much buffs from that, but I still think she deserves to be in 1 tier higher. Other than that, Stun relatively looks the same. I think people have been wanting Coleta to be by herself, but Ambi is M6, so I don't know how that works, but I'll leave this as is at the current moment. I do think Lighter is probably going to be somewhere where Lycan is at. I don't think he's going to be as good as Chingy, but we'll have to wait and see for when that tier list comes out. And then support tab, I'm glad that they dropped Sokaku. She has really long animations. She is only on the ice team as well. Seth needs to get moved up, in my honest opinion. I think Seth is just god tier Anomaly support, especially with how good Anomaly is right now. I do think Anomaly should be moved up for Seth, so we should move him up 1. I do think, although Caesar is god tier, and we all know Caesar is god tier, we know Caesar's like one of the best characters in the game by far, I do think that Nicole should share a spot with Caesar in tier 0. I just think that defense shred, that ether bonus, that team bonus, everything that she has with her signature W engine, that is technically accounted for on this tier list because it's a free, not a free, but it's a 4-star W engine. I do think that Nicole is a tier 0 support. She just has so much with her, and I don't think she is in comparison to Lucy. I think Lucy's a really great character, but if we're gonna keep Nicole in 0.5, we're gonna move Lucy down 1, have Seth up with Nicole possibly. I'm thinking possibly, but realistically I just want Nicole up 1 and move Seth up 1. Seth is just such a really good character, and same thing goes for Nicole. People are really sleeping on Nicole. She's by far one of the craziest units in the game with grouping, damage boost, all that sorts of stuff. It's just really good stuff coming from Nicole. So Nicole at M6 as well is crazy because she gets a crit rate buff too. So other than that, that's pretty much it when it comes to this tier list for Zenless. Of course, Anomaly is king. I'm expecting Lighter to maybe give Ellen a potential boost, but realistically, yeah, I do want this DPS changed quite a bit. Julian up 1, Ellen stays where she's at, Soldier up 1, Nekomata up 1, leave that the same. Leave this alone, Piper up 1, leave this alone, Lighter maybe over here where Lycan's at, and then Sokaku, good that she got moved down, and then Seth up 1, Nicole up 1, Lucy probably stays where she's at realistically. So other than that, thank you guys so much for watching. It's in the video. Let me know what you guys are thinking about the tier list and where these guys should go. I am going to be making Yanagi videos very soon and talking about some of the new modes we got as well. I'm very excited to look at all of that stuff. But other than that, thank you guys so much for watching. See you on the next one, and peace.